welcome to the Irish Independent. It's an historic day for Drogheda United, their first FAI Cup since 2005, just the second in the club's history. They were really impressive 2-0 winners against favourites Derry City here this evening at Lansdowne Road. I'm joined by Aidan Fitzmaurice and Aidan. There was brilliant post-match scenes there. Kevin Doherty and his daughter in a warm embrace. Drogheda players going absolutely mental, and their fans in ecstasy.
Particularly Ryan Brennan, you could see him at the end, straight at the end of the match, ran over to the Drogheda fans. He's a Drogheda native, he's played for other clubs, he's been in the league a long time, hasn't won an awful lot. And for him, I imagine, like hometown boy, to win the cup like this is just amazing. With the season they've had, where they're still in danger of relegation, it's one of those. It's been a strange season and a strange finish to the season that Drogheda could end up being in Europe and being relegated. But it was an amazing achievement. I think a huge achievement. To players get all the credit, score goals and everything else, but the job done by Kevin Doherty and his coaching staff at Drogheda to win this cup, I think they really put Derry City in their box in this final today.
And we'll come on to Derry City and the post-mortem in just a minute, but just for Drogheda today, I was up at their press day during the week, and obviously they beat Derry in the league in September. So although they were underdogs, just the feeling from a couple of the players was they're called underdogs in most of their league games. Obviously finishing 9th this year, one of the only remaining half hybrid part-time teams in the league this year. So there was no fear at all. The underdog tag not suited them, but they were used to being called in most weeks.
They were, but I also think as well, I think a lot of background work would have gone into this, and probably Gary Deegan only got a minute, but I'm sure he was very involved in the conversations to allow. Most of the players there were playing in the Viva for the first time, whereas Derry, the likes of McElhenney, Duffy, Brymar, they played there loads of times in Europe, in various games, and players can freeze on the stage. In internationals they've done it. That it's a big day, it's the biggest crowd they'll play in front of their lives. I'm sure a lot of that work was done. They handled everything really, really well. That underdog status, that it just seemed to suit them. And in terms of names, if who would be on billboards coming into this game, it would have been the likes of McElhenney, it would have been Duffy, it wouldn't have been Kane, it wouldn't have been Markey, it wouldn't have been Quinn, players like that. Everyone, they were just sensational. Darren Markey it was just a joy to watch. Every single player in that Drogheda team. And credit someone like Gary Deegan, as I said, he only played a minute, but I'm sure his leadership, a long time after he played in a cup final in 2008, to come back again, play in a cup final and win it. He played his role, I'm sure, off the field as well.
Andrew Quinn with the first half goal at the back post, superb ball in from Seán Farrell, who had a day to forget here with Shelburne in 2022, but he was one of Drogheda's standout players. And then Douglas James Taylor keeping his cool to net the second half penalty, and Pat Hooban coming on for Derry just after that. You're kind of thinking, okay, bit of momentum now, throw the kitchen sink at it. They've nothing to lose, they need to get back in this. And every question that was asked to Drogheda in the last half an hour, I mean, Dave Webster, James Bolger, I don't know how many times they cleared the ball, that there was just no way through for them.
But not even that, again, the closing minutes. I mean, James Taylor was back at one stage, made a block to deny Connolly. Darren Markey was back putting blocks in. That's what I admire about Drogheda. James Taylor didn't just think, well, I've done my job, I've scored the penalty in a cup final. He was back blocking. The work rate was sensational, and in terms of going home tonight, sometimes you can lose a cup final and you feel it's hard to take, but you can feel proud of what your team did. I think there'll be immense anger in Derry among the support from that tonight, because they threw away the cup final, they threw away the season. That's not to take away from the job they did, but man for man, Derry have far more talent, ability in the squad than Drogheda. But Drogheda played like a team and Derry City didn't. Derry City just didn't show up today.
We heard from Ruaidhrí Higgins there. The post-mortem begins now in Derry. He was asked about his future. He kind of said there's no kind of reason to believe that he's going to walk away. He was kind of referencing, kind of alluding to next season. But you look at Derry from now to even 3 weeks ago, where they were a couple of games away from a League and Cup double, and it's a nightmare end of the season for them.
Derry, when they're good, can be good. I mean, anybody asked me my views in this game, I really thought it was, and again, not to take it from Drogheda, which Derry turned up. I saw Derry were very, very good in nearly all their cup games, particularly, and they had a really tough run to the cup, which Drogheda didn't. Drogheda a far easier route, particularly away to Bohemians, where Derry just absolutely bossed the game in Dalymount in midfield and defence. They were excellent. If that Derry had turned up, I think they could have won it today, but for some reason they just didn't turn up. I think Ruaidhrí Higgins, he says today isn't the day for talking about his future. It's in the hands of Kevin Doherty. He wants to stay. The season has been a disaster, not just today, but Europe was an immense flop, probably the worst result in Europe in their history, finishing fourth in the league, not qualifying for Europe. So it's not just losing the cup final, which can be the case sometimes for teams where it puts a bit of a stain on a season. Losing the cup final, the entire season has been forgettable. And I think it is a job to see Ruaidhrí himself. Can he regroup? Can he go again? Because financially there is a hit from not being in Europe. Very hard now to keep someone like Brian Maher and Colin Whelan, people like that, not being able to offer them Europe when other clubs can. I think it's going to be a very difficult off-season for Derry because it needs an awful lot of work. There's not one or two things that need to be tweaked. There's an awful lot wrong in that squad that needs to be fixed.
And just lastly, Aidan, no Europe for Derry in 2025, but Europe for Drogheda. A lot of Drogheda fans will be getting their passports renewed, and not forgetting Saturday's promotion relegation playoff. Once the dust settles on this, it's all eyes towards Tala and a big match against Bray next Saturday. But just remarkable, Drogheda in Europe next year.
And the extra little spice for them as well, the fact that Dundalk were relegated. You know, it's always your own experience is even more enjoyable if you inflict a bit of pain on your rivals. So it has been. I mean, they still need to stay up, they still need to win that game, but I suppose it does back up. When the new owners come into Drogheda, there was a lot of talk about, was it just a short term? They said they were here for the long term. They wanted to build a stadium. They had bad news last week with the grants in terms of the stadium. They do need a proper stadium. They do need a training ground, an awful lot of work to do. But the work that's been done there, the options there, a lot of the players are around as well next year. A lot of them are under contract. I think James Taylor is there until the summer. So there is a lot there to work with. And they will be in a position now, being able to offer Europe, to pick up the players who will be let go. A lot of the other big clubs are going to be letting players go. Drogheda is going to be a very attractive proposition for a player to go to. And I'm looking forward to seeing them in Europe.
Well, that's it. Drogheda United are 2024 FAI Cup champions. They have Europe to look forward to next year, and for Derry it's more heartbreak. Aidan, that's great, thanks for that. You can follow all the latest reaction to today's FAI Cup final with the Irish Independent.